Okay, let's dive into this one. Imagine this. Years, right? Years of just restless nights, averaging maybe what, a 4 to 6 hours sleep, 7 if you were really lucky, and then boom, a breakthrough. Suddenly you're hitting 8, 8.5, maybe even 9 hours. Real sleep. Sounds pretty good, right? Well, today we're digging into this really fascinating story from Reddit. A user, designer Earth 845, he's 37, says he finally fixed his terrible sleep problems. You actually sent us this thread, it's from Slate, called "I Fixed My Awful Sleep, Here's How." Oh. And honestly, the insides are just, yeah, they're cold.
Yeah.
So our plan is to kind of explore his whole journey, his white belt to sleep master black belt thing he talks about, and see what we can all learn, get some real actionable ideas about sleep.
Yeah, and what's so compelling, I think, about this designer of the story, it's not like he just found one single trick, a
Yeah.
magic bullet. He actually built this whole routine, like piece by piece, over time. And that really highlights something important, that getting good sleep, really good sleep, often needs this kind of multi-pronged approach. Lots of small things adding up, right? And seeing how he experimented, well, that can give clues to other people who are struggling too.
Absolutely. So let's start where he did, okay, with what he calls his staples. These are the foundational habits he had for years, the ones that first got him from that rough 4 to 6 hours up to more like 6 or 7. And the first one, a biggie, quitting alcohol.
Oh, yeah, that's huge. And the impact is, well, it's
Yes.
profound. He said he quit a few years ago,
Yeah.
and he noted it helped reduce anxiety, which helped his sleep and just changed his whole life, basically. Everything went from bad to good quickly.
Hmm.
And the key thing here really is how alcohol messes with your sleep architecture. It fragments your REM sleep, your deep sleep.
Right, the really important stages.
It's exactly the restorative phase you need for memory, emotions, physical repair,
Yeah.
all of it. And lots of commenters agreed. One user, Sensitive Adeptness 99, said even just one night of drinking
Yeah.
could wreck their sleep for days, like hitting a reset button. So it's
Yeah.
not just about being drunk, it's the quality of the sleep you get or don't get.
Right, right. Okay, so alcohol was step one. But beyond that, he really zeroed in on physical health too. He mentions walking a lot, exercising, eating clean,
Hmm.
that kind of thing. And he seemed really aware of how food affected him. Like, when I eat crap like lots of sugar, I wake up early and feel awful.
Hmm.
And caffeine too. He cut back recently, stopping like 11 or 12 hours before bed, which sounds much earlier than his old habit.
Yeah, that diet observation is so important. It really makes you think, how much does food and movement affect our sleep? You put it pretty bluntly.
Uh,
Eating clean and I sleep well. Eat like shit and it's rolling a dice.
mm,
Pizza and sugar late at night. Guaranteed grogginess for him.
mm. Sounds familiar.
Right. And this isn't just him. High sugar processed foods,
Mm.
they can lead to more fragmented sleep,
Mm-hmm.
less deep sleep. And his exercise advice was pretty intense too. Hardcore cardio, he called it. Like 60-plus minutes of running, tennis, padel, squash. Push yourself, get drenched in sweat, then heavy lifting the next day.
Full body exhaustion.
Exactly. His thinking was, if your body is truly spent, it has to sleep. It points to that really basic link, physical activity, good fuel, and then solid rest.
Mm-hmm.
Our bodies need that cycle.
Okay, so we've got alcohol out, physical health dialed in. Now let's talk about his bedroom environment. He calls it his sleep sanctuary, which I kind of love, and the details here are interesting, especially you get like routines. He uses foam earplugs, the Max brand, a silk eye mask, he even named the specific one, Zensia mulberry silk, and he reads on a Kindle, but on dark mode, in a totally blacked out room. His ritual is super specific, reads on his side till his eyes get heavy, drops the Kindle, pulls the mask down, and claims he's out in like 10 seconds.
Well, what's really going on there is this deliberate creation of a wind-down cue, a really consistent one. The blackout setup, the earplugs, the mask that's all about shutting down sensory input, light, sound, huge disruptors, even small amounts,
Right.
and the Kindle on dark mode. That minimizes the blue light. Plus, it's a low stimulation activity, gentle focus. Another user, Daniagzi, even mentioned using a wireless page turner with theirs. But the key is the consistency. That sequence signals sleep time to the brain and body. It's not just blocking stuff out, it's actively building this conditioned response, a pathway to rest.
Okay, so with all those staples in place, he was getting, what, 6 to 7 hours? Which is decent.
Yeah, better, but maybe not optimal.
Right. Not the deep, restorative sleep he really wanted. So then came the recent additions, the things that apparently unlocked those 8, even 9-hour nights. These were the game changers for him. He added 3 things. One banana just before bed, thinking potassium, magnesium, A 12-hour Rain Sounds playlist on Spotify, playing all night, but super quiet through his earplugs, and magnesium supplements before bed. And the result? He says, since adding these three, I am hitting 8 to 9 hours per night. Plus, and this was huge for him, if he wakes up to pee, he's straight back to sleep, which never happened before.
That's a pretty dramatic shift. And if you break it down, you see micronutrients and, again, environment playing a role. The banana and the magnesium pills point to minerals. Magnesium keeps coming up in the comments, actually, users calling it king. It's involved in so many body processes, including nerve function, muscle relaxation, neurotransmitters for sleep.
So it's not just hype, then?
Seems not. He tried magnesium citrate and L-threonate, found both helped him. So there might be different forms to consider. And the rain sounds, that's creating a consistent soundscape, like white noise. It masks other little noises that might wake you up. And it can kind of anchor your mind, even if it's barely audible. Another user, A Moonlit Summer Night, agreed on that one.
And that point about waking up in the middle of the night, that's a killer for so many people. You wake up, your mind starts racing, and you just can't get back to sleep. But he found with these additions, he was straight back out. And his advice, if you do wake up and struggle, was pretty simple.
What did he suggest?
He said, try and read something on a Kindle on super dark lighting. Or put a podcast on, set the sleep timer. Basically, something low-key to distract your mind. Let it take over you instead of fighting it.
Yeah, that's really solid advice. How do you handle those wake-ups without letting anxiety take over? Because trying to force sleep, that almost always backfires. Giving your brain something gentle to focus on, like a dim Kindle or a quiet podcast on a timer, it breaks that cycle. It stops you thinking, oh no, I'm away, I'll be tired tomorrow, which, as Badukali player pointed out, is often the real barrier. It's about redirecting, not forcing, letting sleep come back naturally.
Makes sense. But of course, it's never one size fits all, is it? And this deep dive needs to acknowledge that. The thread had lots of nuances, challenges, different paths people took, especially folks with, really tough sleep issues. Let's talk about substances again, like weed and caffeine, because his own story wasn't totally linear there either.
No, it wasn't. And that shows the reality of it, the ongoing adjustments. Initially, he said about weed, yeah, he could fall asleep in about 3 seconds when I'm stoned. Sounds great, right?
Oh.
But then he felt groggy the next morning. He declared sober sleep really is king.
Right, But
then later in the thread, he admits he started smoking a bit before bed again, sometimes, most nights. And now he's using an Apple Watch to track the impact, trying to really figure it out for himself. It shows how even when you find something that works, you might still experiment or slip. And medically, while some use cannabis for sleep, it can mess with REM sleep, hence the grogginess.
And caffeine, he refined that too, right?
Yeah, the timing. He went from stopping maybe 8 hours before bed to 11 or 12 hours before. Caffeine has a long half-life that sticks around. So pushing that cutoff earlier can make a huge difference for deep sleep later on. Just highlights this need for constant self-awareness and tweaking, even with good habits.
Okay. But what about people where these lifestyle tweaks that just aren't enough? The thread definitely touched on that. People describing themselves as hardcore insomniacs, users like Badukla Player and MLS SMC who've tried, well, everything we mentioned and way more. NLS SMC listed a whole cocktail of medications. Melatonin, which, interestingly, Designer Earth said woke him up early. Intuniv, which is an ADHD med. Quetiapine or Seroquel, an antipsychotic. Promethazine, an antihistamine. Mirtazapine, an antidepressant. Ilamazine, another antihistamine type. And sometimes Upaclone.
Wow. Yeah, that list really drives home the severity of chronic insomnia for some people. It becomes this complex medical situation requiring multi-drug approaches, carefully managed. And Badukla Player offered some really crucial advice in that context. They mentioned CBTI, cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, which is often the first-line treatment for the behavioral and anxiety side.
Right, tackling the thoughts around sleep.
Exactly. And they talked about alternating medication classes to avoid building tolerance, mentioning things like DORAs, that's dual orexin receptor antagonists, like Belsomra, which target wakefulness signals, contrasting them with antihistamines like mirtazapine or GABA, stuff like Finibut, but with a strong warning about Finibut's risks.
Yeah, dependency and withdrawal, right.
Huge dependency potential and difficult withdrawals. They also warned against benzodiazepines, benzos calling the withdrawal horrific, and even recommended the Ashton Manual for safely tapering off those types of drugs. It's a stark reminder, this level of insomnia isn't a DIY project. It needs expert medical guidance, often from a sleep specialist.
Definitely. And sometimes the issue isn't habits or even severe insomnia in that sense, but something else entirely hidden, like Elsie Thel Elsie's story about sleep apnea. That was eye-opening. She was totally convinced she didn't have it. 100% sure, she said.
But she was wrong.
Completely wrong. Diagnosed with extreme sleep apnea when sleeping on her back, she tried a CPAP machine, initially gave up on it, but then got a different mask fitting.
Yeah.
And suddenly, boom, 8 hours sleep for the first time in years.
That's such a powerful example of needing the right diagnosis and the right treatment tool. Sleep apnea is way more common than people think and doesn't just ruin sleep. It impacts your heart, your blood pressure, your brain. Her story shows why you have to persist sometimes. If a treatment isn't working, maybe it needs adjustment, like the mask fit. And it really underlines why seeing a professional is crucial if standard advice isn't cutting it. Could be an underlying condition.
For sure. Okay, one last quick point from Designer Earth himself about sleep tracking. He actually stopped using tracking devices in bed.
Oh, interesting. Why?
He said he found it was making him wake up earlier. He'd start thinking about the data, the score, that little dopamine hit from checking it. He felt it ended up being a net negative for his sleep. Prefers to just let sleep happen naturally now, instead of gamifying it.
That raises such a good question, doesn't it? Does technology always help? Trackers can give useful data for some people, absolutely. But his experience shows the flip side. Anxiety, obsession, turning sleep into another performance goal. Orthosomnia, they sometimes call it.
Right, being obsessed with perfect sleep data.
Yeah. And that pressure can make sleep worse. Sometimes disconnecting, trusting your body, listening to its signals instead of a device.
Yeah.
That might be the healthier path for your sleep. It's about knowing yourself.
So, wrapping this all up, what are the big takeaways for you, the listener?
Well, Designer Earth 845's journey wasn't magic. It was work, dedication, iteration. Started with big foundational changes. Ditching alcohol, serious exercise, clean eating. Then came the breakthrough tweaks, the banana, the rain sounds, the magnesium. But this whole deep dive really shows sleep is incredibly personal. There's no single blueprint. For some, it's complex medical stuff, like severe insomnia or apnea. For others, it's about finding the right combo of daily habits, diet, environment, maybe even ditching the tech.
And that leaves us with a thought to chew on, maybe. Given everything we've heard, all these strategies, these personal stories, what tiny aspect of your own sleep routine or your environment, what small thing might be the key to your next breakthrough? And maybe think broader, too. Designer Earth himself said something profound. Human connection matters. A positive outlook makes sleep come easier, integrating with the world. It suggests sleep isn't just this isolated thing happening in bed. It's tangled up with our mental health, our social lives, our whole sense of well-being. Definitely food for thought. We really hope this deep dive into these real-world sleep stories gave you some useful ideas, maybe some inspiration, something to help you on your own path towards truly restorative rest. Thanks for joining us for the deep dive.